Hi, this is Federico with Cuttle, and in this video, I'm going to show you a template for making these stylish sports-themed keychains or bag tags. You can make them with 2 layers of acrylic glued together, and of course, you can customize the name and other options. The template has multiple sports to choose from, and each one of them has a special icon to match. I'm going to show you how to use the template, 2 different techniques for creating a colored infill on the details of the sports icons, and also some tips and tricks on gluing the keychains together. So let's get started. You will find a link to this template down in the video description. On the top of the template page, you can see the cover picture, but to customize the file, we need to scroll down a little bit until we see this preview. In order to change the name, we can click here on the name field and we can type any name that we want. I'm going to type Asher as an example. And to choose a specific sport for this keychain, we can click here on the sport options and choose the one that we like from the list. This changes both the icon and the offset that surrounds it. What we see right here is a preview of what the keychain is going to look like, but when we hit this blue download button, we're going to get a file that looks like this. The SVG file has 3 different elements. First, here on top, we get the backer with an inset score. That's the blue line. I'm going to show you how that's helpful here in a moment. The second element is the name, and the third element is the sports icon that we chose. And most of the sports icons are going to have these areas filled in black that are going to be the details that we engrave. For example, the football has the stitches and the lines, and if we go back to the baseball, you'll see that the stitches are also engraved. Here you can see those same elements cut out of acrylic. We have the backer, the name, and the icon, in this case a baseball, and this is how they go together. Next, I want to show you how to set up the materials for cutting and gluing, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways to add some contrasting color to the engraved details on the icons. I'll show you a way to fill those areas with ink, and then I'm going to show you some 2-tone acrylics and textured acrylics that reveal the color when you engrave them. Let's start with the ink fill technique. I'm going to use some white acrylic for the front layer, some navy blue for the back, and some dual tight adhesive to join them. And for the detail colors on the ball icon, we're going to be using this Decocolor opaque paint marker. I tried other waterproof paints and markers, but I got the best results with this one. The first step is to prepare the front layer by applying the dual tight adhesive to the back. So I'm going to remove the masking tape from the back of my acrylic so I have a nice clean surface to apply the dual tight. This effectively turns the acrylic into a sort of nice laser cuttable sticker. I'm just going to apply light pressure to finish it, and I'm going to leave the front masking tape on, and now it can go directly into the bed of my laser cutter. I'm going to cut this acrylic using the Glowforge. So here on the Glowforge interface, the first thing I need to do is to bring that SVG that I got from Cuttle. So let's open it. The maker of this acrylic that I'm using recommends using the material settings for medium black acrylic. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to move all the elements a little bit to the right, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can review the settings. The first operation is the engraving for the stitches on the baseball. I'm going to click here and I'm going to select HD graphic or high definition graphic for that because I like the quality of the line a little better. Next, I want to select the settings for these lines inside of the backer of the keychain. And as a default, those are a cut, but I actually want to make those into a score. So I'm going to select the score option right here. A score is very similar to a cut in that the laser follows the lines, but it does it at a lower power or at a higher speed, so it doesn't cut all the way through the material and instead leaves a very neat line that we're going to be using as a guideline for gluing the top layer of the keychain. Now I can position the cuts. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So I'm going to grab the back layer and position it outside of the work area. Now I want to make sure that my name and ball fit inside of the acrylic piece I loaded on the machine. And here's a quick view of those stitches being engraved on the baseball, and then finally the cut. Now I'm gonna place that blue acrylic on the bed of my machine, and here on the Glowforge interface, I can take the front layer section, put it outside of the work area, and now I can place the back layer right where I need it. And let's hit print again to send the operation to the machine. And here's the result with that clean score line. Now we can highlight the stitching details on the baseball with the paint marker. I'm going to place it on a piece of cardboard to prevent the mess on my desk. And I'm going to start dabbing it with the marker. Now you can see the reason I left the masking tape on that acrylic. And here you want to be fairly generous with the paint, making sure it flows into the crevices of the engraving. With this kind of marker, you can push the tip down to get some paint to flow into the tip. Now I can rotate it and repeat the same operation on the other side. And you can see that dabbing motion I'm using to get the paint in there. And this is what it looks like at the end. It's very important at this point to set it aside and let it dry for at least 20 minutes. I've seen a lot of people use Gorilla Tape to remove the masking from the acrylic, but it works particularly well in this case because it doesn't cause the paint to flake. I think this method is much better than using a scraper because it grabs all the little bits and pieces in between the stitches. And I think the end result is very clean. Now we can go ahead and remove that second protective film from the dual tight and place the ball on the backer using the score lines as a guide. Because the score lines are a bit inset, they should disappear at the end. Now I can remove the protective film from the back of the name. And once again, I can use those score lines to carefully place it on the backer before I press it down. The final touch is to attach the key ring using one of these keychain thingies, which are very convenient and give a very clean finish look. Another really convenient way to add details on these keychains is using two-tone acrylic. With this kind of material, you get a surface color and a contrasting color that makes up the core of the material and that gets revealed when you engrave the surface layer. This is really useful if you want to be more efficient when making these keychains because you don't have to wait for the paint to dry. Let me show you this material you can get from Smoky Hill Designs. They call it pattern ply, and you can choose different top surfaces, in this case solid white, and then a ton of different choices for the center. Let's try a project with the black acrylic. Back here on the template page, let's change the name by typing on the name field, and then I want to choose a different sport. I'm going to click here and choose soccer, and as you can see, the file gets updated, and I'm going to get an SVG by clicking this download button. The process of cutting and engraving this material is exactly the same as you can see here. The cool thing is that we get to put it together as soon as it comes out of the laser cutter. Another fun option from Smoky Hill Designs are these texture pattern ply sheets. You can also choose different colors, and I think they look really good on these keychains. I have one final tip. If you're making these for a whole team, the template has a bulk production feature. We need to scroll down to see it. In order to use it, I need to type a list of names down here in the names box, and each name needs to be on a separate line. So I need to press enter and then type a few additional names. And as you can see, all the elements that I need to make multiple keychains get generated on this side, and I can download this file with all of them by hitting this button. And that's it for this video. I like this project and materials because in just a few steps, I could get very professional looking results. So I hope the template and the tips were useful or interesting for your next project. Please leave us a comment, let us know what you would like to see next. And if you found the video helpful and you want to help the channel, please click like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.